Guys, welcome into the first ever podcast with ABW and Ohio Sports Owners. We're going to dive into the hottest team in Athens on Ohio University's campus, the Ohio women's basketball. My name is Bobby Levine. Alongside of me is Zach Farman, the producer of Ohio Sports Zone. We hope to bring you an update podcast every single week on these Ohio Lady Bobcats. Hopefully getting close to tournament time, we'll get great interviews with hopefully some players, definitely some announcers, and maybe, just maybe, some coaches. But let's get started here. The Bobcats, as they are 16-3, 8-0 in the MAC East, number one by 4 games over Akron and Bowling Green, and on an 11-game win streak. The toughest challenge this season is going to be this afternoon as they travel to Muncie, Indiana to play Ball State University. Ball State is currently 14-4, 6-1 in the MAC, and they hold a 1-game lead over Central Michigan in the MAC West. Now, the MAC has 2 different divisions. Yes, they have the East, and yes, they have the West. But the overall record is who's going to get the number one, and if they have the top 3 teams in one division, that'll be the first 3 seeds in the MAC tournament coming up. So it's going to be huge to see how the Bobcats can play on the road. They've been so far so good. 5-3 record, all 3 losses on the season have been on the road. But earlier this month, Ball State traveled to Athens to play the Bobcats, and they were just humiliated. They lost 73-48 in a complete blowout. That was the second game of the MAC season. Ohio looked like they were dominant on all sides of the ball, whether it was defense and offense. They were also key on turnovers there. Since then, they've gotten rolling. The only tough matchup they had, or almost slip-up, was on January 16th. They played Central Michigan in Athens also. That game went into overtime. 86-84 win by 2 points was probably one of the most exciting games I have ever witnessed here in Athens in my 4 years. The Bobcats were down by 10 points in the last 4 minutes of the game. Shut out Central Michigan, went on a 10-0 run to force overtime, and ended up riding Kiana Black's back the entire way as she put up 39 points. She was the only scorer in double figures that game. That's an unbelievable stat for the Bobcats. One player that scores almost 40 points, and she almost scored 50% of your points, and you ride her all the way to get a win in overtime. She ended up being up for Player of the Week in NCAA Women's that week, and ended up getting 3rd place. So congrats to Kiana Black on that one. So where does the success ride to? Yes, you have your great players, but it has to start at the top. Bob Bolden, what a job this guy has done for the Bobcats. Before he came to Athens, the team was 6-23, 1-16 in the MAC. Unbelievable. Just terrible. They could barely get anyone in the stands. His first year, he's got to start recruiting. He ended up getting his own players there. They go 9-21 and 4-14 in the MAC. Now, last year, the 2014 and 15 season was one of the best turnarounds in NCAA history in any sport. The Bobcats went from 9-21 to 27-5, a 16-2 record in the MAC. Won the MAC regular season and tournament. Went to the March Madness tournament in Arizona State and ended up losing big time there, unfortunately. But this year, they're on track to make the tournament again. They are 16-3, 8-0, and they're just on a roll. They're on only 10 games left in the MAC. They're on an 11-game win streak, a 16-game MAC win streak. The last 2 years under Bob Bolden, the Bobcats are 24-2. Unbelievable stat right there. And now you got to go to the players. How have they been doing this? They've been shooting 39.8% of the field. They're also averaging 9.7 made threes a game. Now, what worries you is definitely the height. Yes, they do have height, but the girls down low, Kelly Carlos, Lexi Baldwin, and Jasmine Weatherspoon need to step up here for Bob Bolden to win games in tight situations. They're getting out-rebounded by almost 3.5 a game. That's the only negative stat they have. Now, on the turnovers is where they get help. They're plus 5.1 turnovers, and they average 18.7 a game. Now, if you get that an 18 or plus a game, I'd say 15 or plus a game, you're putting yourself in good situations because usually the team will score off the turnovers, and that's 30 points going your way and not going the opposite way. Ohio women's basketball roster for this year. We'll start from the top and work our way down. There's only 3 seniors on this team. So next year with the boatload of juniors, expect the Bobcats to be at the same place with success at the halfway point of the season. The best player has to be Kiana Black. 5'5" senior guard out of Columbus, Ohio, absolutely dominating. Her pros, she can shoot the ball from anywhere. She also can play point guard if they need her. She's been shooting above her 25% average from three-point range this year, as she's been knocking down baskets left and right. She's averaging 17.7 points per game, and her field goal percentage is up. It's up to 39.5, so congrats to Kiana Black on that one. Now, the second best player, in my opinion, or the most important, would be Kiera Lampkins. Kiera Lampkins is a 5'9" junior out of Gahanna, Ohio, and she is just all over the place, whether it's offense or defense. She's right behind Kiana Black, averaging 14 points per game. Her field goal percentage is around 42, almost 43%, and she's great on defense. She plays right in the middle, blocks up the holes right up the middle, and she does a great job. Now, the player that stepped up big time this year, Jasmine Weatherspoon, Jr. from Northland. You might have heard that last name before. J.D. Weatherspoon was her brother, who also played at Northland, played at Ohio State for a year, transferred out, and ended up going all the way up and played at Toledo. Now, Jasmine Weatherspoon has been a wrecking force down low for the Bobcats. Her average has skyrocketed too, as she's averaging around 6 points per game. She's also destroying it with the blocks this year. She had 6 blocks last game, as I mentioned. And you know what? She's leading the team with 41 this year, averaging 2.2 per game. Lexi Baldwin has to be the MVP of last year's tournament run, whether it was the MAC tournament and or the one game they had at Arizona State. She got in foul trouble early, and the Bobcats got very small very quickly, and it showed. She's also averaging 1.2 blocks per game. And you know what? She might not score that much. She's averaging 9.2. That's third on the team. But everybody knows who she is. She is a wrecking force also. This starting 5 has been amazing. And you know what? Who's the leader of that? Yamani Jenkins. Yamani Jenkins' average has gone way up. This year she's averaging 7.5 points per game. But she's driving the ball. She's not just shooting. Last game she did get started out with a couple threes to get her 6 points. But she knows she can drive now. She's quick enough. She's got the nice little underhand soft finger roll layup, and it's been working for her. So I'm very proud of that. And she's told me she's definitely encouraged with her play this year. And off the bench, you have Kelly Carlos and Hannah Bossinger, the bruisers down low. Hannah's averaging 4.8 points per game, and Kelly Carlos is just 3.4. You got to enjoy that sight because Kelly was injured last year. She only played about 8 games before she had an ankle injury, which sidelined her the entire rest of the year. And then the bright spots are the freshmen. Bob Bolden went out and got a whole bunch of them. He got 5. And then with Kelly Carlos' red shirt, he's got 6. The number 1 player on that freshman recruiting class has to be Dominique Dosick. She's the freshman out of Athens, Ohio. Everybody loves her. She's been dominating. Even in high school, she broke all the records here. She comes in, she shoots a couple threes, and she gets it done. You got to love the youngness of this team. After these seniors and juniors graduate the next couple of years, they get to see the reins, how it's run here. These last 2 years, they've gotten started off to great starts, and hopefully it just carries over. The next couple of years, we should see some bright records here and hopefully some tournament runs. Now let's go back to the Akron game this past Wednesday night. Bob Bolden and the Bobcats hosted the Akron Zips. The Akron Zips were only 3 games behind the Bobcats to start out the night, and they were also only on a 1-game losing streak. But the Bobcats gave it to the Zips as they ended up winning 75-55, and the Bobcats got rolling early. Now they won the first quarter 17-12. The second quarter was the key. They ended up outscoring Akron by 15 points, going into halftime up by 20. At the finish off the game, the Bobcats lost the third quarter by 3 points and ended up winning the fourth quarter by 3 points to obviously give them a 20-point victory. Bob Bolden after the game was not happy at all, though. The problem with the Bobcats was they were taking too many blocking fouls, weren't getting enough charges, and of course, you can't turn over the ball, and they had a lot of traveling calls. To finish off the night, Kiana Black, of course, led the team in points with 15. This year, so far, she has had 11 of the 19 games she's led in scoring. Unbelievable. Player of the year for sure for the Bobcats. To go along with that, Jasmine Weatherspoon had one heck of a game. 7 points, 10 rebounds total. She had 3 assists and 6 blocks to go with that. Kiera Lampkins had 13 points and 9 rebounds, and also Yamani Jenkins with 10 points and 2 rebounds. Now, Kelly Carlos got it going early in the first half when the Bobcats got up by 20. She had 11 points in the first half but didn't score the rest of the game, and she also had 9 rebounds. The Bobcats definitely need to work on the fouls, though. Right now, Jasmine Weatherspoon leads the team with 3.4 fouls per game. She's fouled out 3 times. Now, that's a huge thing because without her, the height and I guess the experience goes way down without her. She's definitely a force to be reckoned with in the paint and on offense. Last game, the Bobcats had 15 assists. Now, that's usually normal for them, so it's great to see that. And it was also great to see the scorers come out and help Kiana Black, as there were 4 scores in double digits. The one game, as I said, Central Michigan, the Bobcats only had 1 score in double digits, which was Kiana Black. But when you have 4 scores over double digits, it helps the tension from the top, and it's just a pyramid. It just keeps going down and flows. Now the Bobcats again face Ball State today at 4 o'clock. This will be a huge game to get more momentum going into the MAC tournament coming up in just a couple weeks. And you give yourself a 2-game break, so you can't afford to lose. Now, the problem is with the Bobcats is you play in the MAC conference. Yes, the MAC conference can be good some years and can be down. Now, this year, it's definitely down. If the Bobcats win out and go undefeated into the MAC tournament at 18-0, the problem is their non-conference schedules, they lost 3 games to the teams they needed to beat. Now, those teams do include at Illinois when they lost by 9, their first game of the season. A couple weeks later, they lost to Vanderbilt in the Vanderbilt Thanksgiving tournament by 3. And then a couple weeks later after that, they lost to at Duquesne by about 17. Now, those games you have to win. If you obviously have 1 or 2 losses, it's different. But in the women's college basketball, it's very, very top-heavy. You have Connecticut, who's always a powerhouse for as long as I can remember. South Carolina in the past couple years. Notre Dame in the past couple years, and obviously Baylor the past couple years with Brittany Griner. Probably one of the best college women's basketball players of all time. Now, you can see that, though. It's always like that. Now, if you look at the ESPN bracketology by Charlie Krem, if you go to the website, type it in, you can see it. They have Ohio University at 11 playing against Washington in the Lexington, Kentucky poll. Now, with women's basketball, they don't have regional sites and so on and so forth. The top seed out of the 4 teams you're with get to host the home opener for the first 2 rounds before the Sweet 16. University of Kentucky, which is located in Lexington, is the projected number 3 seed. They would host the first 2 rounds. Now, if you're the Ohio Bobcats, if you lose a game, you might drop back to the 12 or 13 seed, which would be ideal for them. Why? Because then you have to go play a 4 seed at the best, which is not that bad. You have right now Florida State, Texas A&M, you have DePaul from the Big East, and Tennessee. Now, Ohio University, if you have seen the past few years, have been incredible from the years past. I do believe they can win 1 and possibly 2 games this year. If they make it to the Sweet 16, that would be one of the greatest seasons, if not the best season for women's basketball here at Ohio University. And you never know, Bob Bolden could be getting some phone calls from some Big Ten, ACC teams if that happens. He's definitely a hot coach in the market. In the past couple of years, you know that he's getting phone calls, even though he signed a 5-year deal last year going into the postseason. With that being said, you hope the Bobcats can win out. Again, 10 more games left in the regular season, and then they go to the Mid-American Conference Tournament, which is located in Cleveland, Ohio, as always. And with the 1 seed and 2 seed definitely up for grabs, you can see them getting a bye into the quarterfinals, just like they have in the past couple years. The tournament has shifted. The top 2 seeds do not get a bye anymore into the semifinals, unfortunately, but they will get a bye because they obviously deserve that, and we'll see what they can do. So good luck to the women's basketball team, and next week we hope to have Jake Hermata, the Ohio women's basketball announcer on the radios, join us to talk about his last couple years announcing the women's basketball games. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. Again, join us next week with Jake. Have a great weekend.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2012.